Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Ready for some techno today?
Mm-hmm.
Come on in. Hello, everybody. Kind of an exciting one there.
Love that. Thanks. Our tech person found that one. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome on this lovely Friday evening to the Whole Brain Teaching Inclusive Super Improver with IEP and Behavior Plan. This lovely Friday evening.
Woohoo!
It's awesome. My name is Lakidra Lozano. I am a Gold Certified Whole Brain Teacher from Ohio. And I used to primarily teach all music, K through 12 music, but now I own and run my own school, so I teach K through 12 everything. And I am joined with some amazing people, and I can't wait for you to get their knowledge. So I will let them introduce themselves. So go ahead, Melissa.
Hi, everybody. I am Melissa Ortuño. I am a Platinum Certified Whole Brain Teacher, and I teach transitional kindergarten in the East Bay area of California.
Hi, my name is Christina Chapin, and last year I taught kindergarten and first grade special education. This year it looks like I'm going to be doing 7th and 8th grade, so I'm just kind of wherever I'm needed.
And hi, everybody. I'm Tammy Kirk. I am a Gold Certified Chemistry Teacher in the state of Texas.
That is awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Give me just a second here. So what this session is about is how we use Super Improver with students that have IEPs or behavior plans. How does that work? And does it work? Is it going to be effective? Spoiler alert. Yes, it's effective. It's very effective. So I am going to, all right. So I am going to put, there's some people that are going to go backstage and handle chat questions if you guys have any, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So first of all, if you have not gotten your copy of Whole Brain Teaching for Challenging Kids, the 2nd edition, run to Amazon. Run. If you have any of Coach's other books, this book is that awesome. So you're gonna have it's just amazing the way it's laid out. And if you have not read Color Writing, and some of them have that, Color Writing, another great read. You want to get that too. That's also one of those things you should have in your library. So it's great. So with the 2nd edition, though, Coach has made it so easy for us to take and use whatever we need. So he's made it modular. So you can take any of these modules and you can pick out what you need or what you don't need. So it's great. It is wonderful. All right. So my favorite question of the day, why is inclusion important? Why is inclusion important? So go ahead and put that in the chat. So if you're on here and you're chatting, please interact with us and put why inclusion is important to you in the chat. And then we'll kind of go through our reasons why inclusion is important to us. So I'll give you a few minutes and then we will keep going. Sorry. Little tiny humans at dinner time, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Christina, why is inclusion important to you? You teach primarily special education. So I know this is a topic near and dear to your heart.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lakidra. I love inclusion. I not only love including kids that are special needs or might have a challenge in my type of classroom, but I also think it's important in the community that they are included with other children. And it's amazing. I've noticed in a special education room or I've noticed with children that they're much more accepting than us adults.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Tammy, and I'll pull up some comments. We're getting some comments in the chat. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you, Lakidra. So one of the things that you touched on in our last session was just that it creates a sense of belonging. A lot of times, people with special needs sometimes feel like they're an outsider. And being a part of a team, like a super improver team, just really kind of gives everybody that feeling of belonging. And one other thing is it fosters a caring environment. I've seen so many high school kids that will go out of their way to be super kind to a student that has special needs, where, they'll almost bully the regular kids. So it creates an opportunity for kindness to just kind of bloom in the room.
That's awesome. Thank you. And we have some comments, so let's take a look. So Facebook user, sorry, I don't know who you are. Let's see. Inclusion in the Spartans because everyone's a part of your classroom family and they want to feel wanted. I love that. Let's see. Patricia Steele. Inclusion enhances our humanity. Interacting with a variety of people brings out the best in people. Absolutely. Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering that. So I believe that super improver is one of those things that really in whole brain teaching is just for everybody. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what it is and what it isn't. All right. So I am going to put Tammy in the studio and she'll help answer chat questions. And we'll bring Tammy and Melissa back a little bit. So we'll talk later. Thank you, Tammy.
Bye.
Sorry, trying to. Whoops. Okay. Sorry, having technical difficulties, everyone. I apologize.
That's okay. It might be Melissa that's got to put me in the background. I'm not sure.
There she is. Thank you, Melissa. All right. So I read this quote out of Coach's book, and it made me cry almost. When you reward for ability, the kids with the most ability win. I cried when I read that because it's true. And you see it so much in schools. Honor roll, and don't get me wrong, all of these things are wonderful to celebrate. Honor roll, 4.0, best reader, fastest reader, all of those things, they're wonderful to celebrate. Do not discount that. But you often see the same kids getting those awards year after year after year after year. And then you see the kids who are not the fastest reader, made a 3.0, which is still amazing, or are just, on the lower side of academics. You see them just kind of sitting there every year. And where are the kids in the middle? Still in the middle. What do you think about that quote, Christina? Because like I said, it just hit me in the heart. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Totally agree. And what's exciting with using Super Improver and all the methods of whole brain teaching is that it gets to the point that when you're awarding stars or dice rolls, the kids in the classroom, especially those rascals, will say, I think so-and-so deserves a star. That's when you've really, got the kids where you want them. Is when you have other students seeing abilities that are improved, cheering for them, and requesting dice rolls, stars.
Thank you so much. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. So I love Super Improver for that reason alone. So let's talk about using our wonder words. And Christina, we're doing silent mirrors. So why Super Improver? Why do we use it? Why do we use Super Improver? So the first tip is it rewards for improvement and not ability. I'm going to say that again. And it rewards for improvement and not ability. And we'll talk about that in a second. All right. We can all improve. Every single person in this world can improve on something. I'm working on becoming a less of a yeller with my kiddos. It's a work in progress, so everybody can improve. Everyone can improve. This also changes a teacher's goggles. Okay, it really changes your goggles to look for improvements and not base it on behaviors or ability or that kind of thing. It changes the teacher's goggles. So it changes your goggles to make you really look for that improvement. And then all the students move in this game at their own pace. They move at their own pace. They are only competing against themselves. This is not a tool for a race. This is not a race to see who can make it to the top of the ladder. This is not a race to see who can get to Alpha Hawk at the end of the year. It's not a race. It is the student against themselves. And I always tell my students, you are working to become the best you that you can be. What do you think about that? Do you want to add anything to that, Christina?
I think you've covered it all.
All right. Thank you. All right. So real quick, I know that Crystal Long did a whole session on Super Improver. So this is going to be a really quick review. What is Super Improver and how does this work? So we have a what question and a how question. What's the process? So what it looks like, and this is the digital version. A lot of people have classroom displays, and you can look on our Facebook pages for a bunch of pictures and examples and all of that. But the way this works is that everyone is on this board, and everyone starts out at the bottom, which is turtle. Okay. As the teacher is seeing improvements, they level up to a different animal. If you're secondary or upper elementary, there's a sports theme. Everybody starts at the bottom, and as you improve, you keep leveling up. It's like a video game, right? So, when you play, I play Candy Crush a lot. So when you play Candy Crush and you beat that level, the reward is getting to the next level. And you keep trying to do that until you make it, eventually you'll keep going. And you get stars on those levels too. So it kind of works. So we are in a living video game with Super Improver. It is all gamified. Okay, so the more you improve, the more you move up these ladders. Now, like I said, we have elementary school, lower elementary. We use animals. It goes from a slower animal all the way up to the fastest animal, and I think that's really neat. And what happens is, here's a target goal. This goal says capital letters plus. Capital letters plus. So this teacher right now is working on looking for capital letters in whatever her students are doing right now, plus probably following all the rules. Okay, so that's your goal. You put a goal up there, you set the timer for a few minutes, and you just look for improvement in those areas, plus anything else. Okay, so the more you improve, the more you level up, these colors change, the number of stars you need actually change. And then here are the dice, which we will talk about later. Christina, did I cover it all or did I miss anything?
You covered it all. I just used the Class Dojo.
Yes.
But it also depends on if your school has access to Class Dojo. I'm probably going to have Class Dojo and a display. I also have kids multiple years, so I'm toying with the idea. I've done year 1, year 2, year 3 for going up to the Alpha Hawk, or I'm thinking about using the secondary, like varying it 1 year, secondary 1 year, since I have the 7th and 8th graders with special needs.
That's awesome. So here's that. And this game doesn't need any modifications. I love that about this Super Improver. It needs no accommodations, no modifications. So it's great. Like, it's great for that. Oh, and teachers, add your name to the Super Improver wall. It is a game changer in your class because, again, we can all improve. So your students are working to improve, and so are you. And your students will definitely call you out. They will, if you say, "Oh, my goal is to take attendance and be better at getting attendance in," they will make sure that they will help you meet that goal. So put your name in there too. Game changer. I also play the home version of Super Improver. There is a family version of Super Improver, and it's a game changer with my kids because, again, as a parent, it changes your goggles to look for that improvement and not ability. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about goal setting. This is probably one of the most common questions that we get when we talk about Super Improver. Do you set goals for the whole class? Do you set goals individually? How does this work? Okay, so start simple. If you are a newbie, start very simple. Start with whole class goals. Maybe the first day you're playing Super Improver, your goal for your class is following directions quickly. And you don't have to play the game all day. Set a timer for 5 minutes. And you're doing, I don't know, independent work or, a lesson. And all you're looking for in those 5 minutes is your class following directions quickly. That's it. That is it. That's all you're looking for. Play multiple times a day, because if you're a newbie and you're just starting out and you only play for 5 minutes a day, kids are going to beg to play more if they're winning stars and getting dice rolls and things like that. And then the other thing you can do is break records, set records and break records. So for example, and I give the example, say, okay, we're going to work on lining up quickly and efficiently. So we're going to lunch right now. I'm going to set a timer. Everybody's going to line up in the procedural way that you've already taught them. And you're just going to count up. How long does it take them to do it? Say it takes them 2 minutes to get in line before lunch. Okay. And then later on that day, oh guys, we're going to music class right now. Our record to beat is 2 minutes. Say they beat their record and everybody is in line in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Okay. That's a mighty, oh yeah. And you can choose to roll a dice or just give a star to everybody, or give a star to the most improving people. So it is up to you what you want to do with the whole class goals. You have options. Christina, did I catch everything, or
caught everything? The only thing I would add is when you're teaching the process of lining up, have them verbalize each part. This summer, I had them go up, 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 seat, 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 and then lines, lines, lines. And they would physically say it as they were moving. And if I forgot it for some reason, they let me know that.
There, quick. And yes, and Christina's talking about using the 3-peat to teach that procedure. And it's a really good way to teach it. So yeah, and whole class goals are absolutely easier to manage than individual goals, but we'll get there. So set and break records, make sure you're teaching your procedures that you want to teach. And then again, you're looking for any improvement. So even if they made it in 1 minute and 59 seconds, that's still an improvement. Mm-hmm. We celebrate the small wins too. It's a small win, but it's still an improvement, right? Yes. So you set and break those records. Any improvement is great. So we celebrate that. Okay. All right, so let's keep going. Let's keep it going. I'm trying to be kind of under 30 minutes. All right, now let's talk about individual goals, okay? As the year progresses and you get to know your students, and one of my things that I always say in every session is know your students. Know your students, okay? You're going to see areas that your students need to improve on. So maybe Susie is a wonderful student. She's very quiet. She's respectful. She does, academically well. But maybe Susie just needs to be challenged more. And you're looking at her sentences when she's writing, and she's using a lot of simple sentences. Maybe a goal for Susie that at that moment is, hey, Susie, your writing is really, really, you do such a great job at your writing. But I'm noticing that you're using a lot of single whammy sentences. Mm-hmm. Or a lot of double whammy sentences. You know what? I'm going to set a goal for you. I want you to try and use more triple whammy sentences and complex sentences in your writing. That's Susie's goal. Okay. And maybe Tyrone over here has a problem just staying in his seat. Maybe he's got, he just needs to get his wiggles out, and he's, that rule 3, man, is just an area that he struggles in. You have all the things where he can go and get his wiggles out if he needs to, but he's not really utilizing them, and he's still just kind of roaming around the room. Okay, Tyrone, man, you are a very busy body, and I see you go to the sensory area and walk around a lot, but I also see you kind of roaming around your classmates, which obviously distracts your classmates. So your goal, Tyrone, is to let's try to follow rule 3 as best as we can. And so if you see Tyrone just getting up and going to the sensory area where he's got permission to go, and then coming back and sitting down, That's an improvement. Yes, Tyrone. Yes, Mighty. Oh, yeah, that's an improvement. So do you see what I mean? So everybody can improve on something. And as the year progresses, you're going to get to know what areas your students need a goal in. Okay. You don't have to set a goal for every person in the class at once. You know what I mean? It's going to eventually evolve into probably everyone having a goal, specifically if you're self-contained and you see them all day. If you are departmentalized or secondary, where you're only seeing them for a little bit at a time, it's a different process, but it's a very different process, but you're still going to have students with individual goals. So if you are secondary or departmentalized, you're doing this by class. So instead of having individual names on a card, you just have period 1, period 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay. Or if you teach music like me, kindergarten, first, second, third, you can break it up by grade. Doesn't matter. Basically, the class, individuals earn stars. The whole class benefits. That's the real difference between self-contained and departmentalized classes. You play as a class if you are departmentalized or just seeing kids once a day, like, have different periods of the day. Or you can play individual cards. I've seen some secondary teachers have cards for 50 students. If that's you, as Shyla Heather says, you do you, boo. If you can manage that, go ahead. So it's totally up to you the way that you want to play. So some people you may not be giving them all goals right away, but eventually, again, it's going to evolve into pretty much everybody having a goal. Okay. Depending on your level of comfort, maybe everyone won't have a goal, an individual goal. Whole class goals work, and they can be applied, kind of at any time. But again, you're gonna get to know your students. Did I touch everything there, Christina?
Yes, definitely.
Excellent.
Good job.
All right. So, yep. So you can see people need improvement everywhere. If you have a middle school student that can't get to class on time, that's an area of need for improvement. So give it a super improver goal. All right. So let's talk about if you have, let's talk about awarding stars. Then we'll get into if you have an IEP or something like that. Okay. Let's talk about another common question.
Real quick. Want to know how specific for math skills?
How specific? Do you have anything for that? I do not.
For example, a student might have the goal, and I don't know. Carla, could you tell us what grade you teach? For example, a lot of my students, even in 7th and 8th grade, they are still working on adding 1 or 2 digits. Oh, 5th grade. Okay. 5th grade. I probably would work on whatever they're missing. I'm not as familiar with the Common Core standards in 5th grade. Fractions, improper fractions, percentages, mean, median, mode.
Or maybe it's a fluency goal too, Carla. So maybe you have a 5th grader who still struggles with like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Maybe it's a fluency goal to get more fluency or get more fluent in those areas. You can really set a goal for, if you're working on fractions and you have somebody struggling to find the denominator, you know what I mean? So it can be very simple like that, or a little more complex depending on what you're doing.
The super speed reading, math work really well. I had some kids going into 4th grade and they were working on addition. I mean, this was just summer school, addition, subtraction, and multiplication. We didn't get to division, but their goal was just, if they wanted to earn a star, get 1 more answer correct in that minute.
That's awesome. Thank you, Carla. That was a great question.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about awarding stars and how do we give them? That's another very common question we see a lot of with Super Improver. How do you give out stars? How do I award them? What do I do? What do I award them for? Okay. Stars can be given for anything and everything. Okay. They don't cost a thing. You can write them in. Some teachers have star stickers. It doesn't cost you anything to give a star. Okay, this is what makes the game so amazing, that stars can be given for everything and anything you want. Okay, again, each student is working to become a better them, the best them that they can be. Okay. The one caveat I will say is avoid giving stars for behavior. Oh, guys, if you're good in specials, everybody gets a star. Nope, not how it works. Not how it works. So, oh, if everybody is quiet, you all get a star. Not how it works, right? So don't award for behaviors. Okay. Now, if you are wanting a quieter line, all right, guys. So a lot of us love to talk in the hallway. I get it. I understand it. However, other classes are working. So we need to show glorious kindness and positive leadership in the hallway by staying quiet. Let's see if we can have a quieter line. And I'm looking for improvement. If I see improvement in that line, when we go to lunch or recess or wherever you're going, maybe there will be a dice roll in our future. Maybe there will be a super improver star in our future. So you can kind of frame it like that. Do you have anything to add on that, Christina? Because you kind of work in a different setting than I do. So your goals look a little different.
It depends on the kid, but I would agree with the 5. That's really reasonable. Sometimes you got your specialist teachers that will say, hey, they did a great job, give them all a star. And I'm just like, it's kind of, but if they say, I saw so-and-so doing this and improving, usually they don't stay in their seat the entire period. Well, they did today, or they stayed in 1 second longer, then I would give them a dice roll or a star. So you just kind of got to use but I never, like if kids are not behaving in another class, I will never take away a star, even if a teacher says, I think they should all have a star taken away. I'm like, yeah, okay, thanks for letting me know. And then we walk back and I might even have a kid, that says, are you going to, no, it's not.
We don't take stars away either.
No,
nope, we don't take it away. We don't take them away at all. Nope. They earn them. They got them. They're theirs. Nope, we don't take anything away. How many stars to give out? Now this varies on the kid, the class, and whatever. I think the average, according to coach, is about 5 stars. 5 stars per student each week. Okay, so that's 5 to 10 stars a day, depending on what you're teaching. If you are departmentalized, this looks a little different. So you might be given 2 stars per class period. So it looks different depending on you. There's no whole brain teaching police and set amount of stars to give out. It's up to you. Use your teacher intuition there. And on the super improver wall, there are 275 stars to give out. There are plentiful. Plenty. So at the beginning of the year, you can be a little stingy with the star giving. Towards the middle of the year, when we're all getting antsy and spring break is rolling around, maybe you kind of make it rain stars before spring break and then back off a little bit. And at the end of the year, where we're all just kind of crawling to the finish line and trying to just get there, make it rain stars. And you will see Facebook post after Facebook post of different ideas to make it rain stars. Again, no whole brain teaching, please. And that's fun. I love the end of the year at whole brain teaching Facebook, because it's like, oh, I did this. And this was a double star day or a triple star day or something like that. And it's really fun. It amps up the funtricity, but they're plentiful. So you can, the beginning of the year, be a little stingy. Towards the middle, ante up. And then at the end, make it rain stars. It's great. And then we celebrate level up, and we celebrate when students level up, and we celebrate when they get stars. When you're celebrating, there's some different ideas for celebrations. For the inclusion part of that, I would just say be aware of who is in your class. I know some teachers love to use that level up button with the music. There are some students that are not allowed to listen to music, period. There are some students who are super shy and do not like the public announcements. So be aware of who you have. And who else? Kids might not be allowed to dance. So one of my celebrations that I use is make up your own 10-finger woo. And then everybody in the class does their own 10-finger woo. So I get a lot of variety from my students, and then, in turn, we'll use them again later. So just be aware of your students. Anything to add there, Christina?
Can Melissa put on there where the certificates are? That's a big, that's a big draw. Another thing is take pictures and send them digitally to the parents. Parents love a picture of their kid with the certificate. Even my kids who maybe didn't understand what they got the certificate for at the beginning of the year, by the end they knew. But they, parents love that. They eat that up. They put it on the refrigerator, and especially kids with special needs or kids who are lower achieving, getting that certificate on the refrigerator is so, because parents unfortunately mirror their child's successes on themselves. And if they're seeing improvement, that not only makes the child feel good, it makes the sisters and brothers that are sitting with the child at the dinner table, and also the parents and grandpa, grandma, and everybody else.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yep. And then I don't know if Melissa has this link either. She probably does because she's amazing. Trading cards. So if you are playing Super Improver, there are trading cards to go with each level. And there's ways to use those trading cards and play games and there's more ways to gamify it. But I know some kids that just love the idea of getting that card. They love it. So if you have a student, and we're going to touch on this here in a little bit, but if you have a student that physically needs a reward, like you physically need to give that student something, those trading cards are great, and so are their certificates. So great. So let's talk about turning IEP goals into Super Improver goals. Now, I'm so blessed to have Christina with me because she has more experience in this area than I do. So I'm so glad. So you have students coming in with an IEP goal or a behavioral goal or something like that. How do we turn that into a Super Improver goal? So I just made up an IEP goal. So my apologies to all the special education teachers that this is a horrible goal, but you'll get the idea. So John Doe, this is the IEP goal, will write his name on his paper independently with less than 3 prompts and 2 out of 3 trials. Okay. So what you want to do with that goal is turn it into a goal that you can give a bunch of rewards for. Like you can reward and track a bunch of different ways. So the Super Improver goal that I would tell John is, John, I want to see you write your name without my help. Okay, that's it. That's all I would say to him. I want to see you write your name without my help. So maybe John can write 2 letters of his name at this point. Man, John, that's awesome because he couldn't write any, right? And then you reward for 3 to 4 letters. And then you reward for the whole name. And then you can reward for remembering that the first letter of his name is capitalized. And you can reward him for finally independently writing that whole name. And then you can keep it going and reward for neatness, staying on that line. And the list keeps going on. So do you see how an IEP goal can be broken up and chopped up into these real small attainable goals that you as a teacher are looking for, and win-win for your administrator? You're also using it to track data. So like it's winning. So one goal, you can reward so much for this one little goal. I call it a little goal, but to John, it's huge. Christina, again, you have more experience in this than I do. What do you think about this, or do you have another example?
I love that example. I would also add to it that sometimes you have parents or kids that say, well, how come Johnny gets a Super Improver star or a dice roll for writing 1 letter of his name? Well, it's because that's something Johnny's working on. The teacher's always fair, but it doesn't always seem equal in the room. And what a wonderful lesson for the kids to learn that it's okay to be working on different goals. One child may be totally verbal, and then the other child is working with their talker. And the first time he points to orange on his talker or says orange, that's a celebration. And that's a great way that you can involve your speech pathologist, your occupational therapist, if they're into it, to help bring whole brain teaching. I'm going to be in a unique environment where I'm going to have a speech path that's going to be in the room full time with me.
Oh, that makes you jealous.
If you get a good one. So I'm praying for a good one, because you get the wrong one and it could not be a good thing. But last summer I was blessed to have a good one, and that's great if you can carry it with all your specialists.
That's great. Yeah. And getting your specialist involved, your music teacher, all of them, getting them involved too, even just looking for improvements is also a really good idea, particularly for these kiddos with different goals on their IEPs and different things like that. If you're working with multiple teachers, which a lot of us are, it's a good way to, hey, just let me know if John writes J-O today by yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just, you can have them looking out too. So it's a really good way to get everybody involved. All right, let's take a look. So let's talk about why this actually works for people with behavior plans and IEPs. Like, why does this work, okay, for kids who need that constant motivation? So this is the game, mind, brain, okay? You've got that nucleus accumbens in play with that uncertain reward. Limbic system, like your emotions are all over the place because you're on the edge of your seat when you're playing a game. All of this stuff is going on. Why does this work with students with different challenges? And this is, I'm so sorry, this is super small, but they get the thrill of leveling up, the thrill of earning dice rolls, the thrill of eventually you'll be able to give stars to other students. That's thrilling for students. That's so motivating for students that need motivation. It's kind of constantly going in your head. I know that many students who suffer with ADHD are lacking that dopamine. Okay, they're lacking that. They seek dopamine. So all of this stuff, the thrill of everything, is giving them that jolt of dopamine that they're seeking constantly, right? So you always have this, oh my goodness, am I going to earn a star? Oh my goodness, what about the dice roll? Is it going to roll 1, 2, or 3? Like they're always on the edge of their seat. So you want to keep that. That's why this works so well. And then giving out stars doesn't cost a thing. No more treasure chest. You don't have to go to Oriental trading and get all these little trinkets. Stars cost nothing. You can use a marker. Some people use stamps. Some people buy star stickers. But again, the idea is that it doesn't cost a thing to give a star. Okay, 275 stars on this wall. But guess what? You can also use this for someone with a behavior plan. And Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, but some students they come in with these charts that they do this and they get a sticker. They do that and they get a sticker. Okay, cool. We don't give out, rewards or whatever, but we can give out star lines. Star lines work so well for kids who need that constant motivation. Oh my gosh, Tommy, you got 2 problems done. I'm giving you a star line. So eventually, Tommy will finish that whole paper and eventually, hopefully, have a whole star, right? You're not giving out the star right away. You're giving that kid star lines, and it's constant motivation. And again, cost you absolutely nothing. So for that kid that needs that extrinsic something, you got star lines for that. You have the certificates, you have the training cards, you have different things that you can give that don't cost you a thing, and it's still motivating for that student. Did I get that right, Christina?
You got it right. The only thing I would say with the behavior plan is essentially the teacher should be the one writing the behavior plan, and then just getting input from the social worker and the other people, because if you make it too specific, just like Coach says, what works in September doesn't work in November. So I personally, when I've written behavior plans and incorporated whole brain teaching methods, I've also kept it kind of open-ended, so that, let's say they're working towards going to the next level. And then I have been in schools where they've had the bucks and for their different levels. And last year, the kids I had, it was totally meaningless. So what I would do as the year went on, I would give them, if it was from another teacher, I would give them the option of trading it in for a super improver star, or and that seemed like that worked well. But not that you're making your behavior plan nebulous. It's important that you make it so that if it doesn't work, you can try something else. But it's still doing the whole brain teaching methods, using the words intrinsic versus extrinsic, keeping it positive, bringing in community.
Yes, and it's really good for those students who need that constant positive reinforcement for those star lines. You have someone that just needs constant reminders of, hey, yeah, this is good. Star line, it's really good for those type of students too. So like I said, I've not written behavior plans, so this was new to me. So I'm so, like I said, blessed to have you here, Christine. I'm so excited. All right. So dice rolls. How do we do them? What are they? Okay. So dice rolls are very simple. 1 through 3. Mighty. Oh yeah. Okay. Coach likes to say you can play in periods where like the most improving students will earn that dice roll and get the star. So you can break it up to where, again, if you roll 1, 2, or 3, the whole class will get a star. It's totally kind of your preference. 4 or 5 is we've got grit, we don't quit, no one earns anything. A 6 in whole brain teaching is always a reroll. Okay, it's always reroll. So these dice rolls, man, when Coach rolled out dice rolls a few years ago, that was a game changer. Because again, it's that uncertain reward. You don't know what the dice is going to land on. So kids, again, they're always seeking this pleasure chemical, right? And they're amped up, they're ready to go. What's the dice going to do? Oh my goodness, I get a dice roll. Oh my goodness. So they're excited about the dice rolls. And let me tell you, if you roll a 6, it gets even crazier. They love 6. They love to re-roll the dice. So it's always that idea of uncertain reward. What's it, it's wonderful. And then there are different ways to power up your dice rolls. So Coach has the rainbow dice idea in his book. Basically, it's a green, blue, and red dice. Green, in the first half of your school year, stick with that green dice. And then again, spring break is coming. Pull out that red dice, because the red dice means you get 2 points or 2 bonus points. The red dice. Sorry, I'm still cool. Tell me I'm still cool. The blue dice.
So cool.
The blue dice is 2 extra points. The red dice, save it for the end of the day or at the end of the year when they're really like antsy and you need some more motivation. That red dice gives you 3 bonus points. And this works on Super Improver, or if you're playing Starries, it works the same way. Glorious Kindness dice. So again, kids can roll a dice and then give their Super Improver stars. They can keep them or give them to another teammate. Okay. They are encouraging each other. Okay. This is not a race to get to the top. This is students encouraging one another. Oh, I see you're on Tiger and you need 1 more star to level up the Panda. And you improved on our line today. Like, you got us in line quickly and quietly. Man, I'm giving my star to you. So eventually you'll get students, and you want this, you'll get students noticing other students and giving them stars, giving stars away. So that's always when we rolled out the Glorious Kindness dice and everyone started giving their stars away. Your beloved rascals will give away their final stars to people. Like if a beloved rascal is on the cusp of leveling up from one level to another and they see another person on that same cusp, they give their last stars away. I've witnessed this. Christina, have you witnessed that as well?
Yes, I have. And also I have a problem. I have a dice addiction. I have virtually, especially during COVID, when we did the presentation on the computer, I had dice for different colors. We had a special dice day. I think I had one day of the week where we would get double points. So, this is the basic one, but if you want to, pump it up, have them of different sizes. I have one that lights up and when you hit it on the ground. So, and let them choose what dice.
That's awesome. Thank you. And then chapter 10 in the book tells you tells you all about the Super Improver game and gives you more ways to power up your Super Improvers, particularly dice. Okay. And my final thoughts on this is, as a teacher, try not to worry about the number of stars you're giving. Okay. We get that too. That's a common question we get. I'm worried that I'm not giving out enough stars, or I'm worried that I'm giving too many. You control the game. The game does not control you. Okay. And then this is really helpful. The rule of 3. Remember the rule of 3. Students should only be within 3 levels of each other. So if you've got a student that is already at, I think it's Panda, and you've got a whole bunch of students that haven't even reached, I forget what the levels are, haven't reached Penguin yet, maybe pause those people on Panda. I'm making up things. It's okay. I'm still cool. Pause those people on Pandas and tell them, hey, you've got to get some of your classmates to level up to the next level before you move on. So it again gets the class involved, gets that glorious kindness involved. So the rule of 3, keep the game within 3 levels of each other. So you don't want somebody way far ahead and another person way below them. We also get the question of, what if I get a new student in the middle of the year? The new student comes in and comes on the super improver wall at the level of your lowest student. So if everybody's at, if you've got black marlins and all that stuff, and then you have like one tiger, you have a couple tigers, and you get a new student, that person starts on tiger. Okay, so the higher you go up, the more improvements you have to make. And for me, I think I get stingy because I like to see marked improvement. Like if your goal was following directions quickly, I'm moving your goal up to following directions quickly and making smart choices. So you got to show me that you could still do the goals that you've already met too. So remember, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. Keep that uncertain reward in your classroom. Everything for me is a maybe. If this happens, you might get a dice roll. We might give you a star. Nothing is guaranteed. Keep that uncertain reward going in your classroom. And then remember, this is another common question and another common thing that we see, especially at the end of the year. The goal is to be for the student is to be a better them, okay? The goal is not for them to reach living legend. The goal is not for them to become an alpha hawk. Those things should be rare. You shouldn't have a lot of living legends or a lot of, alpha hawks. That should be a rarity, okay? Because you get kids that are like, why did they make it to the top and I didn't? And you get all this thing. For me, I guess it's a rarity. For some classes, you could absolutely have that. I'm not saying like don't have if you have a whole bunch, like that's on you, that's fine. But for me, it's like it should be rare because it's improvement. You're working for improvement. You're not trying to get all the way to the top. I don't know, Christina, have you had experiences there? Or I see it a lot.
Yes, I was going to say about the new student, because last year I had all these kids come in the middle of the year. It was crazy. Then the other thing I wanted to say is when you're putting up the living legends, I was like, do I bring them to my new school? Because I'm going to be at a new school this year. Absolutely. You need to check with your school whether you can have their picture with their name. So last year I had to get rid of all my pictures, which was very sad, and only have first names. So what I did is I took all the first names of all the kids I had over the years and put them up. And one of the rewarding things was that an after-school care program came into my room and they recognized one of the students' names because it was an unusual name. So that's always rewarding. And to tell them that if they come back 5, 10, as long as you're teaching, they will see that super improver wall and they living legends, and they will see their name, possibly their picture if the school allows it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I don't have very many. I think I had my first living legends 2 years ago. I had them again last year. I mean, so you'll have them. And if you're departmentalized, again, your whole class becomes a living legend. And I know that Tammy can talk about that because I think she had a class that made it to living legend as well. So it's really neat. All right. Well, this has been fun. And I'm going to bring back everyone. Add Melissa, and then we'll take some questions because I saw some really good ones come in the chat. And,
yeah, we had some really good ones. I think we covered the math skills. One of the ones I want to make sure that we did is when there's a dice roll, do all of the kids get a star from the super improver board?
So that is teacher preference, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So it kind of depends on how you run on your game. Then when they get a star, so are you giving them a star every time they do it, or just the first time? So if it's every time they improve, maybe you're giving them a star. You're not really giving them every single time they improve because that's impossible to see an improvement every single time, is how I would answer that. What would you say, Lakidra?
Sorry, that's me. My dog's going nuts. I would agree with that, Melissa. Like it's not every single time, and I'm not giving a star out every single time either. Maybe it's a star, or maybe it's a dice roll. So keep that uncertain reward.
Right.
So if you're gonna award, then yeah, I never just go star first. Usually my award is the dice roll. And they either get one or they don't, or I might, maybe you'll get 2 dice roll, so you can amp that up too. So yeah, but you're not seeing improvement every single time. I hope that helps, Carla.
I think so.
Right.
And then I'm
Hey,
pretty
let
sure.
me
sorry.
throw in there from the high school perspective. Our classes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I hit mute and then I didn't know if I unmuted. Okay, so a lot of times we award a single person for the whole class, right? They get recognition and the whole class gets a reward. But one thing that I do every time we do a unit test is every kid that improved on their unit test compared to the last unit gets a dice roll. Well, first time I did that, I freaked out. I was like, we're going to blow this super improver out of the water. Well, only about half the kids do better and only about half of them roll the right dice. So it's not as scary as it sounds. And then the kids that do worse this time, they're the ones that are really going to improve next time. So it works out perfectly. It's not going to blow your super improver stars off the wall. And it really does give those kids motivation to keep working hard.
It's so funny even how high schoolers will work so hard for a dice roll. It's a little thing. And I'm pretty sure this is Julia. It's showing up as Facebook user about glorious kindness dice that the players can give stars to improving classmates. And it is very contagious. So
it really is.
We love to give the stars. The kids love to give the stars too. So this is kind of a power up that I just wanted to I thought was important to recognize. And I found that when my ones who need the stars more, who might be my ones with the IEPs, it might not, depend, the ones who need the stars more are also the ones who are more likely to give stars away when we start introducing that. And so then it really changes that connection that they have with their fellow classmates. It's really awesome to see. So I just wanted to make sure we pointed out that one. And then I think we covered this one, but just wanted to check in. I have a feeling that I might give too many star lines or too many stars, and the specials outperforming in the ones who are also working hard. I think we covered that, but any other ideas about the rule of 3 and keeping everything balanced?
And Patricia, those star lines are really just for, eventually they'll get the whole star, but that's for the students that need extra motivation to do their work. So say you're walking around your classroom and Bobby is just not doing anything. He's got his head down and all that. So you check in, you make sure he's okay. And then maybe you're like, okay, right, we're working for a star here. And let's see you get 5 questions done, and then come back, check on him, star line, etc. So I don't think you're going to have too many star lines because this is for kids that really need that extra encouragement, and it's just star lines. So eventually the whole star will be there. Maybe they won't earn the whole star in that time frame. You know what I mean? So again, play the game as much as you want, but remember, you control it. It doesn't control you.
Hey, Lakedra, can I clarify for anybody that's watching this that, for a long time, I was like, starries, star lines, what's that? So every star, when you draw it, has 5 parts to drawing that star. And so when we say star lines, we're talking about they get a line and then a line and then a line and then a line and then a line. So that makes a total 1 star. And so that might help people that are like, what are you talking about when you mean lines? Because I was in the dark for quite a while about what that was, because it wasn't in the first book, but it is in book number 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to find the page, but I'm not that fast. And I know for sure in the different lives that we've had, they talk about that, as well as some of the other questions about how do you keep it going and marking the stars. I know I thought it might be real quick to kind of go over how you guys give out stars. I have a clipboard. I don't stop my teaching and give out stars all the time unless it's a big thing. And I know especially probably Tammy, for you probably don't give them out right in the moment a lot, or do you give them out right in the moment, the stars?
Thank you, Melissa. I would love to explain, I have kids that come in, I have them for 45 minutes. And so we start the class with a rule race. If they beat their time, we roll the dice. I teach my normal lesson. I'm looking for improvement during the lesson. And then at the end, after I look at the scoreboard on the wall, and if they win, we get another dice roll at the end. So that's how I do it. Quite a few times in class, I might say, that was gloriously kind of you. Why don't you do a dice roll at the end of class for that? So that's how I do it.
And then just mark it at the end of the day or during passing, like when you have a free moment, right?
Yeah, well, I do it as the last 5 minutes. I have a timer and it goes off. We stop the lesson, we roll the dice, and I put it up on the board.
Perfect.
Actually, I just have whoever rolls the dice gets to put the sticker. I buy Amazon stickers of stars that fit perfectly in the little, the piece of paper that's up on the wall. And so it makes it a lot easier. But you can't let that get out. Somebody might put more stars up there than they should.
Right. Awesome.
And I would add to that, you never do them in pencil, because unfortunately you get some kids that are really good. They like to make their own stars. And you're like, that doesn't look like one I made. Or I have a stamp I'm planning on using this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And all of those things, it is an opportunity for improvement. It's an opportunity for connection. All behavior is communication. And that's one of the big things this whole brain teaching family has taught me, to kind of change my goggles. Again, this is really about changing our goggles and changing our mindset about things. Even something like that. It's like, but what if they, then they're communicating something, and that's an opportunity for something else. So thank you for letting me hop in here and be a part of this. Thank you for all the comments. I hope our friend from the Philippines got to stay on and watch it live at 5 a.m. in the Philippines.
That's so amazing.
Right? Can kids have a week to go? That is totally up to you. I would say keep a goal going for a little longer than a week. Personally, but it's totally up to you, especially if it's a like kind of a class goal, like we're working on, walking in the hallways quietly and things like that. So yes, and I would be cautious about that just because it's a lot to manage, but totally up to you. But
there's also, Lakeedra, there's one more question about glorious kindness dice.
I touched on that. It's just the students being able to give away their stars. Totally. You can specify that up. This is a glorious kindness dice roll. That means you get an opportunity to give stars away or keep them. They can keep them, give them away. It's totally up to them. And that's totally the kid's decision. We don't kind of have any influence on that one way or another. But
okay, thanks for answering that.
Thank you all so much. This is almost an hour. Oh my goodness. Sorry, Coach. But if you have any other questions, please put them in the comments. If you are watching the replay, please put your questions in the comments. We come back to answer them. Thank you all so much for joining us.
And make sure you grab your book. Have a great one.
Have a good weekend.